This is NECO 2021 General Mathematics Paper 2, and we are answering question number 6B, and the questions reads in a school of 160 pupils, 75 have pencils, 87 have pens, and 93 have rulers. 25 have both pencils and pens, 30 have both pencils and rulers, while 47 have both pens and rulers. Each people has at least one of the three items, that is each and every among these 160 people have at least one of those three items mentioned. So the question asked to Roman 1 says so you have to draw a Venn diagram to illustrate the information given, and Roman 2 you are now asked to find how many among these 160 pupils, how many of them have pencils only. So let's attempt to answer this very question to get a solution to the problem. The very first question we asked to answer, that is illustrating this information on the Venn diagram. So now to draw a rectangle like this with the three cycles. The rectangle represents the population of the pupils in that very school, 160. So your universal set, the number of elements there will now be 160. And you now have three other cycles overlapping each other. One of them represents those students with the pencils, and there are 75 given in the question. Another cycle represents those pupils with the pens, and there are 87 given in the question. And another cycle represents those with the rulers, and there are 93 given in the question. So this is the Venn diagram, though it's not complete. So we continue. So if you now let X, for example, or any other letter to represent the number of pupils with all the three items, those with all the three items will now be the innermost region where it belongs to all the three cycles. So I now write X inside this region. Look at the region. So this X represents those number of pupils that have pencils, pens, and rulers at the same time. So if this is X, you can now find how many pupils have the pencils and pens only by removing this X from 25. 25 it says is the number of pupils that have pencils and pens. So this very region would now be 25 minus X, this X that belongs to, or this X that represents the number of pupils with all the three items. If I continue, I can now find how many, that is expression for those number of pupils that have pens and rulers only. In the question, it says 47 have both the pens and rulers. So to find those that have pens and rulers only, I will now remove this X, the number that represents those with three items. So 47 minus X would now be expression for those having pens and rulers alone. I'll move to the next. Next is those that have pencils and rulers only. So there in the question it says 30 of them have pencils and rulers, but out of this 30, this X is inside the 30, so I'll now remove this X from 30. That will give answer those with the pencils and rulers only. I'll continue. So I'll now find how many have pencils only. The cycle for pencils is 675. It is 75 pupils that have pencils. Among them, some have pencils and rulers. Among them, some have pencils, pens, and rulers. And among them have pencils and rulers only. So I have to take away these three people from this 75. What I'll have left is now those that have pencils only. So from 75, if you now remove 25 minus X, remove X, remove 30 minus X, what you come up with, if you simplify it, is now 20 plus X. So I'll now write 20 plus X here as the expression representing the number of pupils with the pencils only. Now the did the same to get those that have pens only. Those with the pens is there 87. Out of this 87, 25 minus X, those with the pencils and the pens only are inside. This X is inside. Also 47 minus X is inside. So from this 87, you now take away 25 minus X. You take away X. you take away 47 minus x. If you simplify it, what you have finally will now be 15 plus x as an expression representing those with pens only. Now, this is the same for those that have rulers only. That is this very rigid. From 93, the number with the rulers, I will remove 30 minus x, remove 47 minus x. If you simplify it, finally you now have 16 plus x. This will now be expression for those that have rulers only. So with this, my Venn diagram is now complete. What remains is to move ahead and answer Roman 2. And Roman 2 asks us to find how many pupils have pencils only. Pencils only means this expression 20 plus x. So we have to get to this x first before we are able to get to this 20 plus x. To get this x, we have 160 pupils altogether, and everything inside this rectangle added together will give us the total population of those pupils, which is 160. So I'm going to have my 160 equals to, let me start adding from this 20 plus x plus 25 minus x plus 15 plus x plus 47 minus x plus 16 plus x plus 30 minus x plus this very x. Everything added will now give me this 160 pupils. So simplifying this by just expanding the bracket and collecting the like terms, you now have 160, which I copied from the left, equals to, so the simplification of the right hand side, if done correctly, give answer 153 plus x. So there, to get x, I will now shift 153 to the left. There it becomes minus 160 minus 153. That gives answer 7. So my x is now 7. So it is 7 pupils that have pens, rulers, and pencils. So I can now answer Roman 2 that asks us to find the number of pupils that have pencils only, which we now said is this expression 20 plus x. So it's equals to 20 plus x. So now replace the x by 7, which we have here. So you now have 20 plus 7. That gives answer 27. So it is 27 among these 160 pupils that have pencils only. And this answered this very question. So let me just share with you quickly the mark distribution for this very question as it is there in the marking scheme. The very first mark is bonus 2 marks. And this bonus 2 marks is for writing or drawing this Venn diagram correctly, illustrating all the items and each number of pupils in each region correctly. You have this bonus 2 marks. When you now write the equation, it attempted to find the x, adding everything to 160, you have this method 1 mark. And when you now simplify correctly and you have x as 7, you have this accuracy 1 mark. Next mark is another method 1 mark, attempting to find the number of pupils with the pencils only by substituting x in the expression 20 plus x. We have this method 1 mark. And when you now add correctly and you have the number of pupils with pencils only as 27, you have this accuracy 1 mark. So in total, if everything is done correct, you have 6 good marks.